everybody. This is Rich Hanlin with Mortgage Ballers, and I caught him. He's jet setting, and he's out of the United States even as we speak, but we've got him. And we're going to talk to him a little bit about this today, but there he is, smiling as it is, the legend. Yes, you've seen him speak. You've seen him be on social media. Mr. Mike Socha, thank you so much for joining me today. Taking time, I know you're busy. Always
Appreciate it. Always busy, right? Always learning, always out trying to do things. But it's always good to talk to you, Rich. So I can't wait for the conversation.
Right on. Why don't we just start? Tell everybody where you're at right now, because you ain't at home.
I'm not. I started a journal to try to figure out if I'm in the States or out of the States more. And last year, the answer was barely. I was out of the States more, so about half and half. I'm currently talking to you from the beautiful city of Mexico City in Mexico. I don't love the snow, and yet I live in Colorado. So it's a little bit of an oxymoron, right? So 9 months out of the year, Colorado is amazing with the weather, etc. But those 3 months, man, I do not want to be in the middle of the snow. So
where do you live in Colorado?
We're right in Denver, so right in the middle of the city.
Okay, yeah, you're right in the heart of it. All right.
Yeah.
Fantastic. You know, I talk to a lot of different loan officers, and it's interesting, Mike, because they all have this dream lifestyle of what it would be cool to do, because they see the numbers and they're, gosh, just a few more loans and I could have kind of a little different lifestyle. But you're one of the few people that I've ever met in this industry that lives life on your terms. That's the only way I can say it, because you live a very purposeful life. You're traveling all the time. You probably hold the record for the most loans done while outside the United States than in the United States per year. There should be an award for that, because people are worried about doing loans within 2 blocks of their house.
Yeah.
But yet you have methodology in place that month in, month out, you're doing business from all over the world.
It's true. So I have been to all 7 continents. I distinctly remember being on a cruise to Antarctica and working on loans. Like literally, I see Antarctica and I have my computer in front of me. So a lot of it is the fact that I don't take a vacation, right? So like I go to these great places, but even today I left the hotel one time to go eat, right? Tonight I'll be able to go. It's Friday night. We're going to go out and kind of see a little bit and explore. The weekend we'll go out and explore. But I think there's maybe a misconception of when you're not in the country or you're not at home that you're on vacation, right? So I try to make sure that everybody knows. And if you notice in a lot of my social posts, it's still working. Or I have a picture of me with the computer like right here, so that everybody knows that I'm available, right? And I think that's a huge part of it is people might not want to leave the confines of their house because they're worried about perception.
Okay.
I think part of this is the digital nomad, right? Being able to be remote, work, and not miss a beat, as long as you do, like you said, have systems in place behind you. Okay.
And I'm assuming, is it NordVPN? I mean, obviously you get great connections all around the world, it seems like, every time I'm talking to you. Have you ran any problems with that? Like connectivity, I guess it's called?
Not really. I mean, I'm very purposeful with where I stay, right? The Airbnbs or the hotels, I make sure they have the top Wi-Fi. If I'm on a cruise, I make sure they have Starlink or something to where it's good satellite, that sort of thing. You're right. I do use Nord. A lot of the systems are very particular that we use, and they should be, right? We're dealing with very sensitive information. So I use Nord to be able to VPN into the States through Denver, and then I'm able to log in and not really miss a beat. I also have VoIP phone, voice over the internet phone. And that way I don't have to worry about phone plans or worrying about whatever, where I am, etc. It's as long as there is either data or there is just regular internet, I'm able to connect and talk, and nobody even knows that I'm outside of the country.
I never know. I can be in the country, and I find sometimes. But I'm going to ask you, because you say you never get a vacation, but yet you travel a lot of places. How does that work for your marriage?
Well, he comes with me.
No, but I mean, because my wife, when that phone goes off and like we're sitting on a vacation and she cringes, and I'm like, obviously, does that ever come up with you guys? I mean, you're going to all these incredible places, but yet you are still working.
He's just as busy as I am.
I was going to say that.
Is what I would say. So we both have the same mindset, which I think is important, right, with your partner, to be able to make sure that they understand that, all right, we are able to do these amazing things, but there's a trade-off, right? Like, we are always on. We're always working. We make sure that work comes first. when we're in too small of a quarters, for instance, he's in the business center right now, right? I'm in the room, he's in the business center. So we try to figure out ways to make it work. Normally, if we do have a long stay somewhere, we're normally in like a 1-bedroom with a door, and one of us is outside in the living room, the other one's in the bedroom, that sort of situation. So there's planning that goes along with it, but we always answer our phones. We're always out and about, and we
You
always
always
try to make
answer.
sure that we have access to whatever it is that we need. But we're very understanding of each other.
Tell me, we touched on it because you were at UWM last year and you had to go out early because you flew in, was it Las Vegas was that the Kind event?
It was, yes.
And you were a speaker on that, weren't you? You a panelist of some sort?
I was on it. Correct. Yep. So I was on a panel. So I've been involved with AIM. I was National Mortgage Broker of the Year for NAM 2 years ago.
Right on.
I get invited to these conferences all the time. I like to be in front of people. I don't know if you can
Really?
tell I get my
I didn't know
energy
that.
from people. So it's no big deal for me to go out, chat. I do a lot of community work within the LGBTQ community as well. So I host a lot of events all around the country, not just in Denver, right? We fly to wherever we host them. And then also there's a lot of different groups and conferences that are specifically based with realtors that really serve the community. And let's face it, there are not that many LGBTQ lenders. There just aren't. So I like to try to advocate for the community as much as I can, and also
you do a great job with it.
Thank you. And I like to speak about it, right? I'm not shy. I think that a lot of people need to hear some of those things that are going on that are very specific to our community. So some solutions, right? Some grant programs that we have that can help people within the community that not a lot of people know about. And just in general, I think people feel a lot more comfortable talking about certain things, right? With somebody else that they don't have to explain themselves to. So I think that that's a really big piece of what I like to do as well.
Over the years, from loan standpoint, we've watched it. I've watched now that, the changes into applications. What state do you think has adopted the most friendly guidelines and assistance? You're traveling around and, are all states the same? Or there's still states that are in the dark ages, I guess, to say it right.
Yeah, and I'll frame this not necessarily from an LGBTQ standpoint. I'll frame it from another standpoint. I mean, Colorado is very easy, I think, to just in general to do business in. They make it easy for people to be able to start the business, maintain the business.
Absolutely.
Their compliance, their stuff is there, but they don't overdo it. I think California, Texas, Florida, I think are the three to where they might be the toughest to get started in. Florida, maybe not so much, but the other two are tough to just get your licenses, etc. Virginia is a state where I've seen a lot of nitpicking, etc. They kind of get in your business a lot. From an actual loan perspective for clients, if you're doing a condo in general, in any state, those have gotten a lot harder. The toughest state by far to be able to do a condo in, and it makes sense as to why, is Florida. So anytime that we get a Florida condo, we make sure that we set the right expectations, that there's just a lot more hoops that we have to jump through because of what has happened in the past with some of the other condos in South Florida, that there's a lot more diligence that we have to do. So we just make sure that we try to, in any state that we do business in, we have to make sure that we set up the right expectations as to the different pieces.
What you talked on a little bit, Florida, one of those places. How are you seeing? Because I mean, you travel all over, and you own in many different places as well.
We do.
How are you seeing the impact of insurance?
Yeah, it's
whether it's HOA or a property, like even in Florida.
Yeah, it's huge. So something that, Rich, I know you know, but I don't know if any of the viewers know. Florida had such an issue with homeowners insurance that there was a big thing that happened, and then the state had to step in. So the state now has this thing called citizens insurance. Okay,
it does.
To where they're able to insure people that might not otherwise be able to be insured.
Okay, that's phenomenal.
What I'm seeing though is even citizens insurance, etc. Insurance has really started to skyrocket, and it makes sense why. It really does. The number of natural disasters that have happened all across, it doesn't even matter what state you're talking about. Each one has had something, right? Something different, but it just has changed how expensive those things are, how much insurance people can get. Some people are getting the bare minimum insurance just to be able to get the qualifications for the mortgage, those sorts of things. But it has really impacted. worried a little bit about what's going to happen in California with these fires.
I am too.
I think that California is already talking about, and they're probably going to have to figure something out similar to Florida, right? If they can't keep the carriers in there at a good price, then they're going to have to make some sort of a state marketplace to be able to make it so that people can still be safe and, mitigate their risks, but be able to get the insurance and have it be as affordable, air quotes, affordable as possible, to be able to buy the house.
I was thinking about it earlier. I even made a video on it. I was talking to Tim Ray, and I'm like, if I had saw somebody, the insurance was like $800 a year, went to $1,600. We took that $800 and divided it into that. So, and it's like, it's hard enough with the interest rates, but people don't realize that the property taxes, HOAs, and insurance, those themselves are becoming very much just as important as what interest rate you get. And when you combine it all the way around, I'm worried about the first-time home buyer getting squeezed even more. A lot of people say, Rich, I want to live where I grew up in Southern California. I'm like, well, you're never going to own in Southern California because it's $600,000 for a shack.
Yeah.
You're going to have to come to Georgia. It's just, if people aren't afraid to leave their safety and comfort, there is ability to buy, but staying where you want to isn't always affordable to do it.
And I think Texas is a great example of that. So on paper, if you don't know about Texas and you're just like scrolling at night and you see the Zillows, right? And you're like, wow, Houston, Dallas, these places in Colorado, these places would be $750 and they're $400,000. Oh my God, I got to move to Texas, right? The thing that they don't necessarily tell you on Zillow is the fact that they don't have the state income tax. Great, right? However, if you look at the property taxes, it's 2-3 more percent. And then the insurances in some parts of Texas are just really high because of tornado risk, the hail risk, etc. So when you look at how much would a $700,000 house be in Colorado, the lower taxes and the slightly lower insurance, versus a $450,000 place in Dallas with the fact that there's then a 3% property tax rate, and then the increase in insurance, and they kind of work out to the same. And I think we've seen that, especially the numbers have shown the number of people that moved to Texas, especially Austin, and now they're leaving, right? And they're going back to wherever they were before.
I do hear that. When I was in California, there was one city above me called Lincoln. I lived in Rockland. They touch each other, but one had heavy Mello-Roos. I had it too, but nothing compared to that. Just by crossing over into that city, it was $10, $12, $15,000 more per year. Well, that $1,000 to someone's payment in their property taxes added on, it became, okay, I can get more house on this side of the city and less house on this side, even though you have the newer neighborhoods and stuff. And you don't realize stuff. People say, I will never have Mello-Roos. I'm like, well, what are you talking about? You still got it. You got bonds. Just yours are a lot less because you've been there for, the home's 70 years old. You still got mosquito abatement and stuff like that. You just don't have all the new stuff that they have. I mean, let's face it, a lot of money that governments get are through those property taxes. I'm hearing Florida say, hey, we need to get rid of property taxes, but if it's just going to be replaced somewhere else,
no state income tax, no property tax.
They got to draw somebody there. Because I'm seeing a little bit of an exodus. Well, if insurance isn't going to pay off after you've been paying your insurance, then you're going to lose a lot of faith in a system.
Exactly.
I mean, I'm waiting to see the final damage on these big homes that in California. If insurance isn't going to pay off, what have you been paying your premiums for?
Exactly. And if not, they can all do like what Spencer and Heidi did and just promote an album on iTunes, right? I don't know. They
can do that. All right, I got way off because how many different places do you guys own homes? I always find this very interesting.
So I'm going to preface this, okay? And then I promise I'll answer your question. So I have maybe a different philosophy in general than I think a lot of other people do. And that's around residual income, okay? So my parents, specifically my mother, always said, get a job, get a 401k, get a pension plan. When you're 65, you'll be set, blah, blah, right? And I think for that generation and generations before that might have been true, but I think with our generation, it's different, right? A lot of us have the gig economies. A lot of us we work for ourselves. We don't have these things. We've been through how many different ups, downs, rounds with the stock market. So nothing is really guaranteed, right? So for my husband, Matt, and I, our big thing is we want to start getting things where they're investments now to where we're able to figure out, all right, this is going to help us later on. And we know that we're going to have this lifestyle and be able to afford things, etc.
Okay.
So that's kind of the bigger preface of that. We have done a lot of different iterations. We've owned houses in Denver where we had them in Airbnb before Denver literally just went off the deep end about licensing and that sort of thing. If you Google my name in Channel 7 News Denver, you would find me being very fiercely advocative for
All right.
home ownership on the news in Denver. But we then moved everything to Palm Springs. We've had them in Florida. And at this exact time, we sold everything in the US, everything. So we liquidated all of our US stuff except for our specific Denver house. So we own our private residence. We have bought now 2 different condos in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, which is gorgeous place. Been going there for 10, almost 15 years now. It's very open for LGBTQ travelers. There's in the specific area where we own, which is called Zona Romantica. It's beautiful, cobblestone streets, beach right there, restaurants, etc. It's where everybody kind of wants to be, right? Like it's the hot spot. I don't want to say no hotels. There are very little hotels there. So being able to own something to where it's in the middle of where everybody wants to be, you can just put it on as a short-term rental without much, knock on wood, they don't change that. I don't think they will. Restriction, right? It's been very good for us. We did get in before kind of the rise in prices. So we own 2 and they've doubled or tripled in value since we bought them about 5 years ago. But they do really well. We actually have to, if we want to use our own condos, we have to book it out about 3 months in advance.
You got to get in your own booking.
So that's Mexico. My husband, Matthew, grew up in Virginia, learned Japanese. Yes, Japanese in public school, is fairly fluent, and lived in Japan for a few years. And we just keep going back and forth to Japan. Originally in 2016, when we were starting to look into whether we wanted to buy in Japan, and we were looking at short-term rentals. They've since passed laws to where it made it almost impossible to do a short-term rental in Japan for whatever reason. But then we got on this mailing list for this guy from Japan, who went to college in Texas but learned Australian English. So I just want him to talk. But anyway, he showed us long-term rentals, right? And a lot of the long-term rentals, they have people that have been in there for 7, 8, 9, 10 years. They don't really move like we do. And they were getting 12 to 15% rate of returns on the long-term rentals. They're not super expensive. So we said, why don't we grab 1, 2, or 3 of those? We're talking $15,000, $20,000. That's all that they are. So
that's what they cost?
That's it.
To buy housing in Japan?
Tiny, right? Like 300 square feet. But when you think about that, okay, if you spend $16,000 on a place and you want to get 10% return, that's only $1,600 a year. Divide that by 12. It's as long as you make $150 a month, you're beating if you were to just put it in a savings account. Right?
Interesting. Okay.
So we have some in Japan as well. And then most recent news is in December, we purchased another one in Portugal.
Okay. Was it Portugal? There was a place that you were at and you said this might possibly be your favorite place on earth. Was that Portugal?
Spoiler alert, we bought a place, right? Yes, right. That is correct. Yeah, Portugal makes a lot of sense. So first of all, one thing that people might not know, we got a mortgage in Portugal based on our U.S. income, 3% interest rate. Fixed rate.
Wait, what's the interest rate?
3.0.
3 points. Okay.
3. So, yeah, if you can get an investment property at 3% interest, we had to put 30% down in an appreciating market. It's pretty good, right? When you kind of pencil it all out. So we're in process right now of making it pretty. Okay. So we have renovations going on, etc. And then we're going to see, right? We're going to spend time that we love Portugal. We're going to jump over there, have it as, partial base for living, and then be able to pop back and forth and then rent it out when we're not there, etc. The mortgage is so little that it makes sense for us to be able to do that.
People are watching this and they're going, man, they're going way off on a tangent. And it's like each person that I talk to, there's something unique about them. And you have, we all watch TV at night and go, gosh, look at those high ballers, man, those high rollers and all, man, they get to live this life. And I'm like, well, I got people that live that life. They're just not on TV. And then they're not, fighting in the alleys all day long, because that's all people want to see. But I'm like,
Yeah.
I was telling my wife and I'm like, I have people that do more than what those guys do. I have people that are more successful than what and those guys are the ones on TV, but they're not even the most successful people out there. We got the Mike Sochas out there. We have the Catherine Barnetts. We have the Stephanie Gilberts. I have the Mike Radcliffes. I have the Adam Stevens. We start putting, and there's more, believe me. Preet Kalari, she stays completely behind the scenes in California. She speaks, I think, like 14 different languages, specifically Punjabi. That she has the trust of that community, and day in, day out, week in, week out, she's right there, doing her double digits every month. So she's always in a top 10, top 20. We have some phenomenal people that bless Xpert Home Lending with their presence, and they get in one place, and every now and then we'll have all of you in one place. I'll see you communicating on something. I'm thinking, do these people even really notice? I showed my wife one night, somebody had asked a question on our Facebook group, and 3 people chimed in. I said, you're not going to believe this. Look what time it is. 8 o'clock our time, probably 5 o'clock California time. But this newer person asked a question that they were struggling with on an FHA guideline. And Dorita Ivy kicks in, Brandy Steven kicks in, Amanda Rawls kicks in. And they're like, and all 3 of them, you just need to do this, this, and this. I mean, they're some of the top women in the industry. If you were to take the top 200 in the whole United States. And I'm like, they're under this platform. I think 2 of them are top words. Catherine Barnett's probably a top 100. All those are, and they answer those questions. And that's when I get proud, because I'm like, you don't get that. It's not about Rich or Xpert. It's about a platform that works for everybody who's just trying to get business in the door. You guys are, whether you're at open house, you probably don't do that much more, but we do a lot of open houses and things like that to get business. We're away from our families. We put stress on our marriages. If you got kids, you're missing things. I'm out on New Year's Day after Christmas morning, and in the afternoon I'm showing houses, right? Did that so many years because that's what was ingrained to me. You've got to be where other people aren't. And I know that there's people out there doing that every day, and to see that kind of support in seconds when someone's in need, that's what I appreciate about Xpert Home Lending. But then we take it to a whole new level, and we have people to look up to and say, you know what do you want to accomplish in this industry? Well, I wish I could travel more. Okay, well, guess what? We've got a world traveler.
I've spoken to a number of people, right?
Yeah.
That have been.
Everybody knows who you are.
I've spoken to a number of people that they want to travel. They don't know how, right? They don't know the specifics of which VPN and what things would work, not work. And I talk to them and I tell them my right, like I use 3 different browsers for a reason, because of this reason and that reason, right? And I kind of share my experiences with them and make sure
you could write a book. I think you could write a book.
This phone plan, right? Like something like that to be able to help them out. So more than happy to share.
I'm surprised. I'm not aware if you have it. Have you started like a podcast or anything about being a world traveling originator?
It's funny. I literally get asked that almost every day.
It's so valuable, the information that you have. It's just we've got to get you recorded and out there, because even people that are outside the United States that want to travel back this way, like you've accomplished something that a lot of people in any industry, I think, would love to have that opportunity. And I know some people, I go once a year. I'm like, no. There's every other week he's on the road.
Yeah. I mean, no, I would like to, if you have ideas on how to do that, I'd be interested. I think after a little bit, to me, it might get a little repetitive and boring just at a new location with the same kind of information. So I think it'd have to be structured in a certain way.
Well, we live vicariously through you because you do a great job taking pictures and reporting it. You're not just holding it to yourself. You share it back. And a lot of us just go, are you kidding me? Where is he at right now? And I think you think I don't pay attention to that stuff, but I do. And I'm sure a lot of other people do as well. Like, oh, where's he going now?
Yeah.
Where is he going now? Because it's not just down the street to Disneyland, right? It's outside the country to these incredible places.
One thing that I find that's been very interesting that we haven't talked about is I get business no matter where I am. I'm not kidding. So the plane, I sit next to people. You just start talking, and if they're from America, even if they're not, right? Like they want to purchase in America, and you can kind of chat through okay, what's Ford National? What's an I-10? What's a this? Or I met somebody flying actually back from LA to Denver, and she was buying a house in Denver, and she was just starting to look for a lender. And so we did an application on her. So I meet people in Puerto Vallarta at the pool. I know that sounds ridiculous, but like so many Americans vacation in Puerto Vallarta. And what's funny is that the type of person that you meet at the pool while they're on vacation is normally the type of person to where you'll never get to meet them because they're always too busy working, right, at their normal job. You'll never get a chance to meet somebody like that, right? So some of the like highest wealth people that I've met that I've been able to do these loans for, people that I've met because they took the week out and they're on vacation, and I literally met them at the beach, at the pool, like that sort of a thing. And then we connected, and then there you go, right? They follow me on social media, and then we're able to connect very easily thereafter. So I think that's a huge thing that you said, untapped markets, right? Like I don't do that. I don't do any of that anymore, right? I used to when I was 20 years ago when I was starting out in the business, but now I just kind of live my life, and then I make sure everybody knows what I do.
Absolutely.
Important. I make sure everybody knows I take really good care of everybody, right? And I think that kind of shines through with all of my reviews. I think it shines through with
absolutely, it does.
The response that I get on social media. I think it shines through with some of the advocacy things that I've been able to push through at the national level, just from being able to voice different opinions, that sort of thing. And the lenders, like even Xpert, and I think you know this, a lot of the AEs, the account executives that we have at our lenders, I brought you guys to them, right? Like they knew me, and I said, hey, we need another one at Xpert. Or when we added lenders, I have these relationships that I've had for however many years. So I'm happy to bring, good people along as well. So I think a lot of that is just kind of the opening the doors, the sharing of the wealth, and then just making sure everybody knows that they're going to be really well taken care of, working with me and my team.
Well, I want to ask you this question. I've been asking everybody because you're a little different because you travel all over, but you're in the same economy that we are all in, whether you're overseas or here, you're still subject to that same economy, but yet you're still able to produce month in and month out. There's something different in your conversations when I'm hearing everybody else saying, oh, but people are afraid. And I'm like, well, it's those same scared people that Mike's talking to. What is the difference there in your conversations, taking people from an interesting economy to saying now probably is the time to buy if you're ready to?
Yeah, I think that it's all relative to the person too, right? I don't think I have one magical answer to be able to answer you. I think knowing programs that might be able to fit quickly, right? Instead of just, I need to go check up on that. I think like being very knowledgeable in those things where you can kind of spin
Absolutely, I like
and
that.
spitball really quickly. I think it doesn't make somebody double think, right? Think, maybe I can't. He needs to check. I must be some sort of an off case. Maybe I shouldn't be doing this. One thing that I have noticed that the newer LOs don't do is explain why, okay, and how. So I literally talk to everybody about math. Literally, math, right? I don't know if any of the other LOs know how to do the math. And I'm explaining the math to everybody. Why? Because if they understand how the math works, and then they know, if I go buy a car and now I add $800 to this math, it's going to affect it in these ways. They might not remember exactly how, but at least they have a pretty good perspective as to like what's going on and why. The other thing is solutioning, right? So when I go through the math and I say, all right, well, for you, there's these programs for you to be able to fit in this one, you're a little off, right? You're about $200 off. So either we can figure out how to do that from me bringing the price down, but you haven't seen anything in that price range that you like. So let's figure out another way to do that. What if you paid this thing off? What if you, right? Like those sorts of conversations that I'm having the very first time that I meet these people. And then I follow it up. I have all my templates, right, to where I can do it quickly. I follow it up with, here was our plan, right? If you aren't there right now, here's what it's going to take to get you there. You need to save up $2,000 to pay off this credit card. When you do, let me know, right? Or you're there right now. Let's go ahead and let's apply. So I think that might be a different spin. I'm so specific with exactly what they need to do instead of a lot of what I've seen out there is apply and I'll let you know, right? And when somebody doesn't understand why or how things all add up and the computer just kind of tells them, that's a much different experience than understanding how it all is put together.
100% agree. A lot of my customers, especially first-time home buyers, a lot of them are what they want, the eye candy versus what they can afford. Then we figure out, well, what's the difference in payment between that? Well, I can't afford that extra $400. Cool, but is there anywhere where we could make some adjustments by consolidating some credit cards into 2, and that would make some adjustments? Can we refinance a car that looks like you only have 2 years left and you're still paying $600 a month on? Oh, I never want to do that. It's like, well, but there's hundreds of dollars there, and there's people that would do that. Like you can refinance a car too. I think people are getting more. I think when I look at the loans and what they were 20 years ago, everybody was debt to normal. Now we got gigs. Now we have full-time people are stepping out trying to do different things. And then they have separate accounts, separate credit, and you got to pull it all together. People necessarily aren't getting married, but doing things together. And it's become more complicated in a sense, but the lenders are doing a good job expanding the guidelines because they're starting to see that.
Yep. But here's the thing, Rich. You have to keep up with the guidelines to be able to know this.
Yes, you do.
Right?
Yes, you do.
So, and I don't know if everybody does.
They
and
don't.
So sometimes when you hear someone like me, I've been doing this since I was 5 kind of thing, right? It's great because you have that experience, but it's also, well, do you keep up with everything that's happening, right? So a lot of what I do, especially when I'm on the plane, what am I doing? I'm downloading these things. I'm downloading all the really fun things to read on the plane, when everybody else is watching the movies and listening to the podcast. I'm literally going through my guidelines and just making sure I'm up to date with whatever it is. That way, when I have these conversations, I'm able to say, well, this just changed, right? Like 3 weeks ago, the gig economy stuff, as long as you put it on your taxes in this way, you're going to be fine.
So you're that person that I sit next to and everybody's got it dark, but you got the little light on beating down the whole time. That's
I'm
hard
always
to do.
learning and always doing things. I think it's planning the time, right? Like everybody says I don't have the time to blank. I think if somebody saw me being on a plane X amount of time, etc., they'd be like, oh, well, that just eats into it. No, it's planning what you do diligently to make sure that that time doesn't go unwasted.
Have you ever calculated how many hours you're on a plane per year?
I haven't. I don't know.
I mean, to get to some of the places you're at, like Portugal, I mean, what kind of flight is that?
Yeah, Denver to New York is about, 5 hours, and then New York to Porto is another 7, it's like 12.
Do you jump off? Do you stay the night, or just boom, jump back on and go?
Yeah, normally Denver's a great hub, right? We have a lot of direct flights, like to London, etc. So I don't really have to deal with layovers too terribly much. Porto is the exception. There's no Denver-Porto flight. But no, we just chug on, right? Grab some food, go. So
keep going.
No. And if I need to reload, right? Like sometimes I run out of things to read. What do I do during my layover? I find other things to queue up. I make my phone calls, right? Like I have to call people back, that sort of thing. So I make my phone calls in between. I normally get the internet on the plane. It's free now on a lot of them if you are part of the reward stuff. So I can't take the phone calls, but I sure can text.
Sure. I do the same thing.
So I try to be in constant communication with everybody, no matter where I am. And I don't know if you could even tell, Rich, but even while we've been on here, I've been texting my clients.
Well, I would tell people this. I can't tell when you're on vacation, when you're not. I mean, knock on wood for you. Do I get complaints on people? I do, but I don't get them on you. So what you're doing is working, and you probably have made it harder than most people would ever dream of trying to accomplish this business while also doing all the extracurricular. So that's what's fun about this. I mean, there's more I want to talk to you about, but I didn't want to hold you on to this. There's more business stuff. Because I take something away every time we talk. And I don't know if you realize that. Maybe people do tell you, but you have a lot to bring to conversations. If they would just take the time to listen when Mike talks and someone captures his time, if you get to hear him speak, just listen. Just set the time aside. I don't care how good you are in this industry, you're going to take away from that. I mean, we have a couple people that are movers and shakers, that move through and come through Xpert. I know you have, like you said, I know you guys have your own company, different things, there's a lot of layers to your life. We're just one little small part of it. So when I'm getting a small piece of this person that goes 100 miles an hour, but it brings us and makes us a better company because every win that you get under Xpert helps make us look good too, but So I'm thankful for all of that. And that's part of what this was. I know I have some brand new people, but I have some people that have been here for a while. And I love it that you're taking the time out of your day to give me a little bit of it, that allowing me to record it and capture you, because this will never grow old, whether it's this year, next year, or 2 years from now. When you get a legend and you can record them, you take that opportunity and you do it. And you're one of those legends in our industry that I got you captured today. And so I love that. And I thank you so much for just taking the time. I know, what time zone are you in right now?
I'm in Central. Mexico
you are
City
Central.
is it's
Okay,
very
it's
easy to
straight
work
down.
from. Yeah.
Okay.
And Rich, one thing that I would just say
Yes.
in general that I haven't said yet is how I live my life. I just try to do the right thing all the time. And I know that that sounds like such an easy thing to say, but I think if you're a mortgage originator and you're watching this, sometimes you get really caught up in the dollars and the cents and you trip over nickels to grab the pennies. I think that that's the saying. There's been times when I've literally done a mortgage and I've had to make virtually nothing or nothing because it was the right thing to do for the client. There are times when I literally am on the phone with underwriters, AE, whatever, to be able to do what I need to do. And it's like on a $50,000 loan, right? So I think it's just making sure that you do right by people. I've done that my whole life. I think especially when the refi boom happened in 2020 and 2021, people kind of had the mentality of, oh, Mike's always helped me out in the past. I have to do this anyway. Like, why wouldn't I want to help somebody that's helped me in the past type thing? And I think that maybe gets lost, along the way. We get into such of the minutia. We look at the dollars and the cents, etc. And we say, all right, well, if I do this and I spend this much time, I'm then making this much. We can't do that as originators. Sometimes we win and sometimes we don't.
Absolutely.
And the times that you don't, you learn why you didn't, but you always do the right thing by the client. And I think that that's a really important message that we need to make sure stays out there.
I agree. I don't want to just be about the dollars, because I know some people that are very high earners, but I wouldn't let them touch my family member, and I don't want that reputation, because that's what I see on TV. Somehow someone said that's what this life is, and it gets promoted out. And it's like, no, that's actually the exception. There's people that really do care, that have incredible knowledge and will steer you correctly. You just got to learn to maybe answer a few extra questions and hold people to a higher standard if they're going to get your business, versus just giving it to anybody's on the other side of the phone, because it could be the difference of you getting that property or getting a better rate. I never want my client to find out afterwards, Rich, I could have got 0.5% better at B of A. So I tell them, hey, you're a jumbo. Have you talked to your financial advisor yet, to Merrill Lynch, anybody? You have that conversation first. If they can't do it, then you come back, because you'll find out the other way.
The miracle on 34th Street when you're at Santa Claus and you work for Macy's and you're like, but they have it cheaper at Gimbel's, right? I do that all the time. If I'm not the right place for it, I'm more than happy to tell them where they can go. And you know what that gets me? Referrals.
More business.
Because they might not have worked out, but they know that I'm doing what's right for them. And so they're going to tell 3 of their friends, hey, Mike didn't get me directly this, but he knows where to go. You should ask him.
Yeah. Integrity is huge for me. That's the one thing that I just want to take with me when I'm done with this industry, is to say, cool, I made it all the way through 35, 36, 37 years, whatever it turns out to be, because I'm 35 years out September 1st. Wow. Blink of an eye.
Yeah, I get it.
I just want I want to go out with integrity, because it's been pulled on in so many directions over the years. And I just tried to stay consistent to be the person I would want to deal with, be knowledgeable, help more people. And somehow it's okay if I'm the last one to get paid, because somehow I always get paid, and it's karma's really good. All right. I have taken a lot of your time. I want you to enjoy your time there. And you said it's Mexico City?
Exactly. Yeah. We're right in the heart of it. Reforma, Mexico City.
Well, go have an authentic Mexican dinner tonight. God, that sounds so good right now.
It's already the plan.
Sitting in Georgia, that sounds good. I want to thank you for your time. Thank you for taking your day. I know you're busy and I know you got a lot going on, but it's always a pleasure to get what time we get from you, because I know that you got a lot of people pulling on you, but the fact that you would take some of your time, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me to it. Appreciate it, Rich.
All right, I'm going to let Mike go. Mike Socha, the legend. What do we always say when we show up? when we close out another video here at Mortgage Ballers, what do we say? We say, go right with Mexico City. Stay thirsty, my friends.
Oh, that works. Margaritas are in order.
Please do. And thanks again for your time, Mike.
Thanks, Rich.
All right, take care.
Bye.